Wow. How to find your mind, the wise brain, or how to find our mind, should I say. That seems almost too simplistic. Insulting, if you might even think too far ahead. But actually, from my experience, it's not insultive because the world we live in today shows us that most of the problems we have stem from the fact that we always tune in to that emotional, illogical brain. So, how can we move from that emotional brain thinking, which is distortive, negative thinking, to the wise brain thinking? And why, in the first place, might we think from the emotional thinking in the first place? Hi, I'm Toyin Okanuga. I'm your girl. I'm your Hush to Raw girl. Thank you again for joining me in these sessions that are also very important. I'm Hush to Raw girl. I'm the author and CEO of Hush to Raw, and I am your mindset expert, especially when it comes to adverse childhood experiences. And today, I'd like to talk to you about sessions that I've been doing in my learning journey, which is it majors in neuroscience and psychology. And if you've seen a lot of my other videos, you'll see that I major in mind, what's gone on with us as a child, how it affects us as adults. And today I will be presenting the information on my slides because I think when you see them and you read back, you can better understand them just because they're slightly, some slight technical terms. They're not a lot. So yes, how to find your mind, the brain. So to ensure that we think logically, we need to tap into our wise brain area, which is the hippocampus. I'm not going to go into the brain and into the brain in its entirety, but I'm just talking about how we need to tap into that. But most of the times we use our emotional reasoning, and that emotional reasoning is the thinking from our primitive brain, the amygdala. Now, before man became intelligent and of decision making, multitasking different things, we all needed that survival amygdala flight and fright response to alert us to danger. And most or some of us have been traumatized as children, and we have now had that repetitive cognitive behavior, which is negative distortion of our brain, which amygdala says, I'm not safe, it's happening again. And we always then think from the emotional aspect. So there's a cognitive model here, which is about negative thinking and how it maintains depression. So negative thinking, it maintains depression when you start thinking negatively because the emotional brain is saying there's danger again, even though you're an adult. What happened to you as a child is no longer happening, but because it's happened before, you had to be at alert. Now your brain is trying to protect you. So the negative thinking is illogical sometimes and very biased. It also ignores the evidence in front of you. So if we think that way, you will see that it's not really what's happening now that we are thinking from, it's the past. So yes, and then moving on to cognitive distortion. So cognitive distortion is about unhelping thinking patterns or style. It's like an all or nothing. So I am horrible, I'm useless, like everything, like you give yourself no leeway, or I'll never get it right, or I should do this, or I'm never giving yourself that leeway or allowance for error. And I know that personally from my journey. Oh Lord, doesn't this just define me back then? Another thing you can do apart from having an all or nothing to know that you are in a distortive way. So this is me saying that this is all emotional thinking, when you have an all or nothing, nothing in between way. Then the next one is when you magnify the negative and then minimize the positive. So something terrible's happened and you just really make a humongous issue about it, and someone else doesn't, then you might think, why have I magnified this problem and not even seen something positive in what's happening and minimize that? Then I used to do that. So that's how you know it's distortive. Again, when we continue to cling to the same thoughts that flow from these emotions of negativity, you will continue to feel depressed, down, low self-esteem, no one loves you, unlovable, all those. So the reason we engage with these particular thoughts is because we begin to experience the emotions that are ignored or that are triggered by these thoughts. It's from there that we get into the disturbed emotional state, which in turn influences how we act and how we behave. So we need to grab hold of ourselves. Bear with me, I'm going to get to how you need to tap, how we need to tap, because trust me, I ain't there yet. We're all human. So, but we need to step back. In another video I mentioned, watch most of my videos, but you'll see how I said moving from triggers to truth, and that is a very linked video to this one. So when we feel those disturbed emotions, we need to, in order to stop repeating these negative thoughts, we need to repair. So we repeat what we don't repair. And that's why I'm sitting here today confidently and competently, because I've repaired a lot of aspects that needed healing in my body. And obviously that brings on another level of areas where I need to heal from, because that's how it is. When you're healing, it's a continuous process, because it's taken this long to get here. You won't just magically heal all of a sudden. So the only way to heal from your memory triggers, they remain as scars, of course, but you better handle them. So we are, as human beings, contrary to so many research many years ago, we are capable of growing new neurons, which is called neurogenesis. It's like when things happen to you, specifically traumatic events, like what happened to me, what happened to a lot of people, we are able to grow new neurons that will make us have more information. But we've got to be intentional and learn so that we can make our hippocampus the size that it should be. So again, when we wire and fire new cells, that is neuroplasticity. So we have to keep the brain active so that we don't keep it in that space of comfort zone where it's used to. We have to go out and occupy our space. We have the ability to observe the neurocircuitry within us. That is mindfulness. So what's running inside of us, we can step back and be the observer. Yeah, Michael Skinner is an amazing writer. He wrote on Tethered Soul, and I've read both of his books. He wrote another one. He speaks of how we need to be the observer of who we are. It sounded a bit hoo-hoo, but when I started to do it myself, it made more sense. So we need to understand that we are capable of changing our thoughts. Thoughts become toxic when we ruminate over and over. We stimulate our emotions and feelings. We have the ability and have the power to control and say, you are not going to trigger my neural circuitry without my permission. I had to do that for sure, because that's what happened. We have higher cortical thinking, and that higher cortical thinking is to access the information in the hippocampus. As long as we can just calm our amygdala and love it and say, you know what, I get you, primitive brain. I know you want to keep me safe, but that happened when I was a child. I've healed and this is a new situation. So step back and let hippocampus take control. So until our emotional wounds and unmet needs are repaired and resolved, we will continue to reinvent our wheel of pain and claim That's just me, you know me. I've always been like this. So this is what Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, meant when he wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's just my luck. You know how I was born. I could say, you know me, I was a mistake child. Or you know me, I was sexually abused. Or you could say, you know, I was divorced. Or you know, I lost that person. These are things that we need to heal from and claim our power. So remember that we have the ability to pick and choose what's going on in our heads. When the amygdala is screaming, alert, alert, I'm not safe, calm it down. There's a 90-second rule that when you're hurting, after 90 seconds and you're still hurting, then you need to look into it. When it's screaming, calm it down. Let the hippocampus come in where it gives you decision making, not higher reasoning. And I've been doing that by counting, but being more of an observer. And do I trip? Of course I do. But the fact that I'm aware that I trip, I think is a step forward in my opinion. So just because a thought comes flying by into your head doesn't mean it's yours to keep. When it comes, say, oh, hello. Thank you for that thought, but no thank you. Ta-ra, goodbye. So yes, we all have our stories, we all have things, we all have people who have said one thing or the other that's not our truth. Just because it comes into your head doesn't mean it's your truth. Before you were born, the Lord knew you. I'll say that. And you are perfect just the way you are. You just need to heal. You need to heal, heal, heal. It's the only way. Psychologists can't help you. Therapists can't help you if you don't help yourself to help them help you. I love you. And remember, your inner child. Oh, believe me when I say we all have our inner children or inner child, because I've had it for years. Still have it. And I have to go in and comfort it and parent myself from where I was not parented as a child. And say it's fine. We are fine. I love you. You are beautiful, Toyin. Let's get it together today. Why? Why not? You deserve every happiness out there, my darlings. Heal from those traumatic events. That's the only way that when storms come your way, that you'll be able to better handle them. Otherwise, you will fall when things happen because you were not healed before. And you still have triggers. You need to move from those triggers, bring the unconscious to the conscious, the unwanted that you didn't want, bring it with a want. God will get all of those together and do what? They'll work together for good. I promise you, this is not woohoo. I love you. Remember, that inner child, it has a voice. It really does. And if you don't let it roar, it will roar in other places that you don't want it to. I love you.